Welcome back, Star Wars fans, to the Hyperspace Database. I'm Jonesy the Mandalorian, your host here, with today's topic, the Night Hammer. The Night Hammer was an Executor-class Star Dreadnought, or Super Star Destroyer, and was one of the flagships of Imperial Admiral Natassi Dalla, seen around 12 years after the Battle of Yavin. The Night Hammer was around 12 miles long and crewed around 100,000 beings, from engineers and gunners to pilots and crew for its thousands of TIE fighters and bombers on board, not to mention cooks and quartermasters and all sorts of other personnel to maintain such a massive ship. It was armed with numerous turbolasers and ion cannons, and was equal in firepower to 20 Imperial-class Star Destroyers. It housed enough fighters, bombers, and landing craft to deploy an occupying force when invading enemy planets. The ship normally would crew far more beings than its operational 100,000, often housing up to 300,000 beings, but the Night Hammer had many automated systems that allowed it to operate with a much smaller crew, which could be slightly problematic, as its over 300 decks and numerous hangars were easy to get lost in, especially until a being was familiar with its layout. There were even schematics on the ship's layout posted at many of the intersections on each deck, and were especially helpful to new recruits as they grew accustomed to navigating the massive ship. The ship was coated in a special black stealth armor, which made it blend into the blackness of space, much like the later Stealth X X-Wings of the New Jedi Order, which made use of the camouflage to attack their enemies in hit and fade missions. There were only a limited number of Super Star Destroyers ever produced, as the ships were massively expensive to make, and were equipped with the latest technologies, which made them even more valuable. Exactly how many of these Super Star Destroyers were made is debatable, but the rumor was that there were up to 12 of these behemoth ships in service. A few of the more popular of these ships were the Executor, which was Darth Vader's flagship in Return of the Jedi, the Lusankya, which was used by Director of Imperial Intelligence Isan Isard as an Imperial prison and torture facility, and the Night Hammer, seen after the fall of the Empire to fight against the rise of the New Republic. The Night Hammer was launched and saw action around 12 years after the Battle of Yavin, in the Legends novel Darksaber by Kevin J. Anderson. But the ship was in development for 8 years prior to this point, under the direction of Imperial Admiral Sander Delvardis. After the Battle of Endor, the Empire fractured into different groups that were led by self-appointed warlords and dictators. Admiral Delvardis was one of these leaders, who appointed himself Superior General and retreated into the Deep Core, where he secretly funneled funds from the Empire into his own personal projects. The largest of these, of course, was the Night Hammer, a Super Star Destroyer of incredible might, which was rumored to be named in honor of his fallen mistress, who Delvardis had put into a coma with a vibrohammer in a fit of rage, hence Night Hammer, which might be a little bit on the nose. Much of the siphoned Imperial credits were put into this project. That is, until Admiral Natassi Dalla gathered 13 of the most powerful warlords in the Deep Core, and after an unsuccessful negotiation to try to get them to unite, gassed all of them to eliminate the threat to Imperial unity that they posed. Dalla then investigated the siphoning of the credits, which led her to the Night Hammer. Upon seeing the magnificent ship, she immediately claimed it for her own, and used it as her own personal flagship to instill fear and respect into her enemies and to her allies. After traveling the galaxy recruiting allies to her faction and attempting to reunite the fragments of the Empire, Dalla met with Vice Admiral Gilad Pellaeon to discuss strategy, and she resolved to eliminate the new Jedi Knights in order to destabilize the New Republic government. Dalla then rechristened her flagship to be the Night Hammer, a play on words which reflected her desire to crush the Jedi Knights and the New Republic. Dalla then assigned Admiral Pellaeon to attack the Jedi Academy on Yavin 4, planning to follow with the Night Hammer and the rest of her forces, but Pellaeon was repulsed by the combined efforts of the Jedi, and his entire fleet of 17 Star Destroyers were thrown out of the system by the heroic sacrifice of the Jedi Dorsk 81. Dalla then arrived to find an empty system, instead of the overwhelming Imperial-led occupation force that she had expected to be reinforcing. This did not deter the Admiral, though, and she proceeded to attack the Jedi Academy from orbit, pounding the surface with turbolaser fire and reducing many of its ancient structures to rubble. This attack continued until New Republic forces, led by Admiral Akbar, arrived in the system, and the behemoth Super Star Destroyer turned its numerous guns to attack these new enemies, causing the New Republic forces to retreat towards the gas giant Yavin Prime. It wasn't looking good for the New Republic forces. That is, until a Jedi saboteur managed to sneak aboard the Nighthammer and trigger a chain reaction among the TIE bombers in the rear hangar bay, destroying the Nighthammer's engines and causing much of the ship to be dead in space. Since it was chasing the New Republic forces close to the gas giant Yavin Prime, it was already close to falling into Yavin's gravity well. And when the engines went dead, there was nothing to prevent the giant ship from drifting into the atmosphere of Yavin Prime. The Nighthammer slowly fell into Yavin Prime's atmosphere, where the Imperial forces could only look on in horror as it broke apart in giant sections, and was completely devoured by the gas planet, never to be seen again, though its personnel managed to escape before the ship was completely lost. The Nighthammer was a very impressive ship in its own right, and with its incredible armor and advanced systems, it was a symbol of power and strength that could back up its claims easily, and proved to the other Imperial warlords that Admiral Natasi Dala was not one to be trifled with, and had it not been for the ingenuity of a Jedi infiltrator, the Nighthammer could easily have been used to reunite the Empire and wage a major war against the Jedi Order and the New Republic. Want to know more about great Star Wars topics just like this one? Stick around to the end for some secret trivia, check out my other videos, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and the bell to never miss an episode. Be sure to chat with me in the comments because I really want to talk to you guys. Super special shout out to my Gold Captain level Patreon supporters Miss 2003, Nick Sutphin, and Matthew Scott. Your support is incredibly appreciated and you are just the best. Thank you so much. Be sure to chat with me in the comments, check out my other videos, and you can follow the show on social media for more news and channel updates. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.